Hey everybody, I'm Evan.
And I'm Grayson.
And here we are back with our continuing series where we're picking our top 3 games for every single letter of the alphabet.
And this letter is Q.
Yeah, Q. This was an interesting one because you wouldn't think there's a lot of games that start with the letter Q, but hey, we came up with 3 each. So let's just jump right into it, right?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. You went first last time.
Yeah.
Not this time. All right. That's fine. My number 3 is a recent acquisition, and even though it's a very old game, almost a 20-year-old game, and that's called Queen's Necklace.
Same, actually.
Really? Number 3? Okay.
Yes.
So, it's almost a filler game, but...
It is really fun, though.
But, yeah, okay, so... It's a cutthroat game of gem selling because there's like a market of cards laid out, and on your turn you have 10 coins to spend.
They're just like imaginative.
Yeah, like you just have 10 to spend. So you can buy any cards with up to 10 values, many as you want. And then they start out at a certain price, but then every time you don't buy a card, it ticks down in price. So that everybody after you they become more attractive to all the other players. So, and then there's 3 rounds where at the end of each round, which is random, there's
a merchant.
There's a merchant that comes by and wants to buy your jewels, right?
Yes.
The trick is, he's not going to buy all the jewels. In fact, he's not going to buy very many of the jewels.
Well, no, he's going to take your jewels. He's just going to give you money for most of them.
Yeah, right? I'm not sure thematically what's going on there, but yeah, so the idea is there's a little... There's some numbers that show you the highest in demand jewels.
Yeah,
and then
most fashionable.
Most fashionable, yep. So then when you decide which jewels to sell,
they're all added up, and
the
one that has the least amount of jewels that are there get a bonus rarity points.
Right, yeah. So the rarity is determined.
And then of course the one that has the next least and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it goes all the way up from 30 to 0, which is the same for actual fashion points too.
Right. So it's really tricky trying to figure out which jewels to sell because you don't want to sell too many because then they won't be rare and you won't get as many points, right?
Yes, and also there's special ability cards.
There is.
Where you can steal cards, make players discard cards, just delay the merchant. Right.
But the thing is, there's also the merchant's only going to buy whoever is selling the most of any jewel. Everybody else just gets nothing. Mm-hmm. So if you were banking on selling a bunch of diamonds and somebody else is selling one more than you, well, then you're getting 0.
Speaking of banking, there's a banker that helps you sell bonus.
Right. There's some items too, and it's called the Queen's Necklace because there's a Queen's Necklace card, which gives you some extra superpowers.
Where you can deflect the king, and the king is crazy because what the king does is he makes whatever he's paired with. You pair one jewel with him, and whatever jewel that is completely worthless for the round. Yeah,
he decrees that whatever gem that is now worth nothing.
Yes.
And everybody has to listen.
And probably one of the reasons that it's on my list is because, so what happened is, I don't remember which one's it called, but you pull just a card from the top. There's
a card that, just gets you a random card from the top of the deck,
And how convenient was it that card was a king, which means that no one knew I had a king.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because that means,
nobody's expecting to have a 0 value gem that round.
Because they didn't see it.
Yeah, that was a ridiculous move that happened. And
my mom, right before she used Cardinal so that she could set everything to what she wanted to.
It's not the Cardinal that does that.
Yes, it is.
No, because the Cardinal's the one who... It doesn't matter. The Cardinal's the one who delays the round.
Which she did so that... Because, it came up, right before her.
Yeah. All right, well...
And she set, she used the favorite, which sets whatever you want to the highest.
That's what you're thinking.
Yes. And she set it to diamonds, so I'm like, she's probably selling a lot of diamonds. So I paired it with a diamond.
Yeah, so diamonds were worth nothing.
Which was crazy because she had no idea.
And then she got 0 points. Yeah. So anyway, I think we've rambled on enough about the queen's necklace. However, we can't move on before mentioning there is an actual queen's necklace.
Yes.
So when you do have the card, you have to wear the necklace.
You have to.
It's in the rules.
Because it also shows that
you have the card in your hand. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So anyway, that's our shared number 3, which is the queen's necklace. It's a fun game. All right. So then my number 2 is a game called QE. Didn't match on that one? All right. QE is a strange game where you're basically playing as a country. And that country has an unlimited amount of money. And there's like some financial crash. So there's a bunch of like businesses that are for sale all over the world. And you're buying up those businesses. So one person is like the auctioneer. And they write how much they want to spend for that on a check.
Yes.
And then everybody else secretly also submits a bid for the business.
Which can be literally anything.
Yeah, right. Because the trick is there's unlimited amount of money. So if you can spend $5, or you can spend $50 million.
Or $1 trillion.
If that's a real number, I don't know.
It is.
So anyway, yeah, you can come up with the crazy numbers, but you don't want to bid too high, because if you're the highest. If you spent the most amount of money during the whole game, at the end, you get 0. You're out of the game.
Yes.
I don't know if your country's bankrupt, whatever. But, so, like, then there's different points assigned for, like, the companies themselves, and then, like, diversification, and for monopolization, and various things. So at the end of the game, you total up all those scores. But it's fun because somebody's driving the prices up sometimes, and you're like, I bid $1 million, but I lost this one. So what does that mean? Somebody else bid even higher.
That means like, oh, okay.
So I guess we're going in the millions, but then somebody can then lower the bid on the next one, and then you overpay, right? So it's tricky to be smart about buying them at just the right price, so that you're not spending too much, but you're still spending enough to win.
Because the thing is that you actually were the winner. But like you were doing really well, and you had 5 businesses, but the least spent.
Yeah, right. And it can be hard to do, but it's a lot of fun. So anyway, yeah, that's my number 2, QE.
My number 2 is Quirky Circuits.
Oh, okay.
So QE didn't actually make it on my list because I did. Like, I mean, it's fun. Mm-hmm. I just didn't have as much of an enjoyable time as, say, last time than the time we just played.
Okay, that's fine. I still think it's a great game.
Yeah.
Anyway, Quirky Circuits.
It's Quirky Circuits, Penny and Snowballs, I think that's what it's called, Snow Day.
It's not Snowball, but yeah, it's whatever. It's the second version, but it's still the same game. It's still with just different characters and different maps. So it's still the same game.
But it's pretty similar to Quirky Circuits.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Just like I said, different maps and different characters.
So, in this game, you have cards, and depending on your scenario, you are either the cat on the Roomba, or the robot penguin that is skiing.
Yep.
And you either have to vacuum up dust bunnies or hit flags, like get flags. Mm-hmm. And so you're trying to do that by trying to program the correct order with everyone else to actually get all that.
Right. The trick is you're programming, but everybody's programming at the same time for the same character.
And without any extra information.
Right. You cannot communicate with the other people except
beep boop.
That's the only thing you can say. You can't talk about where you want the character to move.
What cards you have in your hand.
You can't communicate what cards are in your hand. Yep. You can't communicate like what you think everybody should be doing, or whatever. Yeah.
It's a cooperative game.
Yeah, that's correct. So you have to do it cooperatively.
And so you have to get all the whatever items and then get back to the start position.
Yeah.
In a matter of a certain.
It's like 12 rounds or something like that. Yeah.
Because like that's the battery power.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That game is a lot of fun, and it's like silly fun because it's like,
oh god, why did you do this?
Like, well, I thought we were going to turn left here and then go around this corner, but
I thought we were going to go into this little passage.
So you're like, oh god, what's going on here? And like it hits the walls, and then it turns, and yeah, it can be kind of chaotic, but it's still fun, right? Like,
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
As long as you're not taking it seriously, just silly fun. So yeah, are you good with that?
Yeah.
All right, so that's your number 2.
Yeah.
Jeez, here's the thing. I bet we have the same number one.
Yeah.
Because the number one is probably the most obvious one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Quacks of Quedlinburg is basically a game where you're brewing potions. But in order to brew these potions, you have a bag of chips. And all these pictures that I'm going to show here have the upgraded chips and components, so because we've done that, because this is a really great game. Anyway, so you're buying more chips to put in your bag. And then every round you're pulling them out and like putting them around this this potion board, right? But what happens if you pull too many of the white ones, which I think are called cherry bombs? Nobody
Yes.
ever calls them that, but whatever.
Your pot goes boom.
Yeah, then you explode. So depending on which like end where your last piece is, it'll show like the victory points and then like the buying power for the next round to buy more chips.
Depending on what kind of like how far in the game you are, you're gonna pick which one.
Right, because if you explode, you can only pick. You can't both buy and get points. You have to do either.
Normally,
or.
if it's like in the end game, you're gonna pick points.
Oh yes, okay. So the idea is you want to build a bag full of chips that have like either a lot of powers, because all the chips are different colors, so they all have different like powers.
Tons of different powers.
And then because there's multiple powers for each one. You play with one each game.
Yes. And you can use those powers to get more like chips or like extra victory points or
just move the chip farther in the pot. There's all kinds of crazy stuff.
or get rubies,
Yep.
which can help you either move your droplet,
Yeah.
which makes you start farther, or just get your potion back.
We also have the expansion, which adds a more powerful pumpkin, because everybody needs a more powerful pumpkin.
Yes.
And it adds like these witches that have like one-time powers on them.
Yeah.
Which I think there's two expansions, but we only have one. I think the first expansion really kind of like opens up the game a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely does.
But here's the thing. It's basically a ton of luck in this game.
It's a push your luck game.
It's right, because you decide when to stop. But it's
a lot of fun.
But it's silly fun, right? As long as you're not getting too mad when your potion explodes like 6 times in a row, like has happened to me many times. But yeah, so
You have a 3 to 14 win ratio. That's not the worst.
it's not the worst, but I've also played it 14 times and had many games where I've exploded 6 times in a row and like been way back on the victory point track. So what happens?
But when you won last time, you said you thought it was the first time you won. You have won two previous times.
Maybe I've never won. I forget between games. So anyway, yeah. So that's our shared number one, and I knew that was going to happen because that's like a really, really fun game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun to play, and again, as long as you're not taking it too seriously and getting too like frustrated, because it's just pulling chips out of a bag, seeing what happens, and hopefully good stuff. Yeah, yeah. So that's our number ones, and that was our cue list.
Yep.
Our top 3. We had 2 in common, which is pretty cool, and I believe this is our 10th to last letter. I think if I counted that right?
I don't know.
Which means after this we have 9 more, and it's only taken us,
Way too long.
way too long. But that's okay, because as this time goes by, we're actually been playing more games. So
True.
like newer acquisitions have been making it onto these lists. So I guess the longer we wait, the more accurate our lists will get, right?
I guess.
I don't know, maybe. All right. Well, hey, I guess that's it. So we will see you next time.
For the R's.
Yeah. That'll be fun, and I hope you tune in and check it out. And I do appreciate everyone who tunes in and checks out this show, because we have a great time doing it, right? Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well, I guess that's it, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Think you're going to pick some games?
No, I don't think I am.
What are you going to pick then?
Cars.
Your favorite cars that start with Q? Mm-hmm. Name 3 cars right now that start with Q.
No.
Because you don't want to spoil the list. Got it.